You can hear all this weird noise going on. It's because someone wants to be in shot. Hello, Lily Pants. Hey everyone, it's Liz. I'm sat here in my brand new glow-upped sewing room, if that's the phrase. I'm going to show you how I went from this to this, and then I'm going to take you on a tour afterwards. Hope you enjoy! So here's my calyx with all my boxes and whatnot on. All my fabric is stored over here in clear boxes, and this is cool because I use my Dymo label maker obviously, because what I'm trying to do is actually digitize my fabric stash. I like the clear boxes because I can see everything that's in them. Even if I don't want to check my Trello app and see where everything is, I can still see them. This is my amazing 1970s vintage adjuster form. Hi Lily again. I was lucky enough to get this from the family of a lady who passed away, and she'd used it for many, many years, and I do love it. I mean, check out those hips. Not many people have hips like that, or certainly I don't anyway, so it's not all that useful for me for fitting. It also, the posture is like rigidly straight up and down, and I have quite rounded shoulders, so it doesn't work well for me. But I do have a bootstrap fashion mannequin that I made for myself using one of their patterns. What I like about the bootstrap fashion pattern is that you put your measurements in and you put your posture in, and then it will actually make you a mannequin that is perfect according to your size. This is one of my favourite things in the sewing room, so thanks to my partner Andy, I now have a brand new cutting table. This was an idea that I nicked off the bee actually, because we had these lovely cutting surfaces. The nicest thing about it is that you can actually walk around it 360 degrees, which was exactly what I wanted. I was fed up of being hemmed in on two sides and not really being able to manage to cut patterns out properly. So yeah, it has a little space underneath for cutting mats, and you can see my pressing cloths under there and tailor's ham, and on the other side there is scissors and my rotary cutter and stuff. Also has a nice little neat place to hang all my rulers. The top's plywood and it's just covered with a couple of layers of calico, and the best thing about that is that it gives you a really nice flat surface for working on that's really firm. So the top of this is actually pretty much A0 size, so I can put two A1 cutting mats on there and get like a really big flat cutting area, or I can use it without cutting mats, just with scissors. And also, because it's covered with calico, I can use it as a pressing surface for big bits of fabric. Here's a little shelfie. So the bee artwork I bought quite a long time ago now from a company called Spider Spell Arts, and the lady who runs that is the girlfriend of one of my friends from a long time ago. It seemed very apt, so I thought I'd put it up on the wall next to my sewing shelf. So I have magazine holders here. Also the sewing magazines in there, and also there are some clear plastic wallets for my sewing patterns when I print out PDF patterns. Anyone who's a fan of the Aliens franchise will know this bad boy. That's an original prop from Blockbusters, which my other half managed to salvage. I don't know whether it's from the release of Aliens or the release of Alien 3, but anyway, it's pretty cool and it lives up there and thankfully doesn't scare the kids. They're used to our weird ways. New plants, which I got last week, which I absolutely love. And in these box folders live all the PDF patterns that I've printed out over the past God knows how many years. So there are quite a lot of kids' patterns in here, but also my patterns as well. Self-drafted ones. Yeah, that one holds a lot of kids' patterns. And also there's a little space for paper patterns and a notebook and stuff as well. The shelf previously was it was starting to sag pretty badly. It's not really one that's made for a lot of load bearing. We got these nice little brackets and stuck them underneath, and now it can hold a bit more weight. This weird strip that you can see under here is actually a strip light, so I might turn that on in a bit and show you. So there you can see, that's how it looks when it's all lit up. So this is the pegboard that we installed, which I really love because it means that I can have all of my threads out and actually see them. Before they were sort of stored in an old Dr. Martens shoebox that lived under the desk, so every time I needed a new colour of thread or whatever, I was rootling around underneath the desk, and it's not particularly ideal, so it's nice to have them out all on display. I go through a lot of masking tape as well. It's nice to have somewhere that I can keep my masking tape for altering patterns. I'll use it to like stick paper patterns together or cut and shut various bits of patterns. Also, these are my new favourite scissors, which I got from Charlotte Clark Limited. They're not like, you couldn't really use them for anything serious in dressmaking, but they're kind of cool as thread snips. And then over here, this lovely little bee plaque was a present from my mother-in-law. She said she saw it and she thought of me, so I inherited it. And these little pots hold bits and bobs, so in here I've got pens, all different kinds of pens, like for marking up patterns, marking up fabric. Machine needles live under here, a good selection of machine needles, and also these boys are fabulous because if, like me, you were a beginner and were completely fed up of sticking yourself with pins, then these are a great substitute. So you can hold your fabric together and really not have to worry about absolutely decimating your own hands with pins. This idea I stole from the sewing bee. Again, a lot of my sewing room now is like kind of modelled on what we had in the sewing bee just because it worked so well. This is a little box of tools for servicing machines. So I've got a paintbrush, like a kid's paintbrush, which is really useful for brushing fluff out of the bottom of the overlocker. And randomly some rotary cutter blades. I don't like to throw things like rotary cutter blades and old needles away, just because I don't want anyone getting hurt with them when they have to sort my rubbish out. So I tend to try and keep hold of them until I have a little vessel that's full of them, and then I'll throw the entire vessel away. And screwdrivers and stuff as well. In this one, this is kind of pens and glue for putting PDF patterns together. And in this one I have things that I couldn't live without, so obviously tape measure. This is a fabulous little gadget called a hump jumper. Old needles, again, like I said, I don't like to throw them away until I've got a little box that's full. Hand sewing needles, and something that probably gets used more than anything else is angled tweezers. Just so useful for threading overlockers, threading your cover stitch machine, also pulling threads out of the way. Yeah, useful for like a million little jobs. And spare bobbins, and obviously where would we be without the good old seam ripper. So the way that I have my machine set up now is I have my overlocker and my sewing machine both in a line. Previously my overlocker was on the side of the desk, so it meant that although they were quite close, it meant that I was constantly shifting my chair from the front of the desk to the edge of the desk, which is fine but not ideal. So I decided to shift them so that they're in a line. I don't have to worry about that anymore. And then I've put my cover stitch machine here on the end, which works a lot better for me, to be fair. And then I have a lovely little space over here where I have a desk and my laptop set up and a monitor, and I'm working actually properly at this space now, rather than kind of balancing a laptop behind my sewing machines and trying to see my PDF instructions or whatever. And also under here in these boxes, this is where I keep a lot more PDF patterns and self-drafted patterns. So I really do like these expanding folders, although I need to get more. So I guess these, along with my magazines up here, give you an indication of quite how many PDF patterns I have. I totally hoard them. Drawers on the end, again, I have them labelled up with my Dymo label maker. I'm nothing if not predictable. So I have tools and stuff in the top drawer, elastics, lots and lots of elastics for bra making, and bra stuff in the bottom too. Here's a little nosy in my tool drawer. So pliers, actually you use pliers and tin snips and stuff a surprising amount when you're doing corsetry. Lots of different scissors and rotary cutter, and also things like the kit that came with my overlocker and my cover stitch machine, and just like loads of random stuff, little rulers, loop turners, using cable ties, everything you can think of. I hope you all enjoyed that little tour of my sewing room. What else can I say? I hope you all enjoyed that tour of my sewing room. It is such a wonderful place to be. It feels light and airy and I just love it. So it's such a wonderful space, and I know how lucky I am to have it. Believe me, for many years I was sewing on my dining room table and putting my machines away so that we could all eat dinner and then getting them back out again, and I know how disheartening it can be. You need such motivation just to get set up for a couple of hours sewing. So I've been there, done that, and I wanted somewhere a little bit more professional for doing YouTube videos, and also I have some pretty epic projects in mind for the rest of the year. I plan on making an 1890s ball gown for a Victorian ball that Claire and I are going to next year, so watch this space for that video coming at some point, where I flounder around with various patterns and velvet and lace. It's gonna be a nightmare. Thanks for joining me on the tour of my sewing room. I am very lucky to have this space. I love it to bits. It couldn't have been done without the help of my wonderful partner, so to him I owe a lot of thanks. All that remains is to say thank you for watching. You're all amazing. I've had almost 1,500 subscribers in the past week and I'm so grateful. Thank you to everyone. So on that note, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and you'll get notifications for all of my upcoming videos. And also please hit that like button if you enjoyed, and I shall see you next time. Bye! Five, 4, 3.
No.
You dog.
What's that from?
It's from Wayne's World.
Which one?
First one. Wayne's World 1.
You sure?
Yeah.
You ready
What for?
to film your outro?
Yeah.
Okay. Go on then.
Was it filming the whole time?
Yes.
You.